Steve's already mentioned about having the one friend in the group that was nervous about getting up today, and I'm pretty sure he was talking about me. Having zero personality or banter, the idea of doing a speech today has been frankly terrifying. I'll do the best I can. So, I've known Steve for about 15 years now. We met working together at the bank, which is also how I met my partner Julie, how Dean met Amy, how Gary met Chelsea, how Ross met Whitney, and later on how Steve obviously met Jan. As incestuous as it sounds, I hope it hasn't turned out too bad. So, Steve and I had nigh identical CVs earlier on in our career. We started off in fraud, taking telephone calls from pissed off customers. To be honest, I would also be pretty pissed off if I just found out someone had spent all my money on a new Gucci handbag in Mexico, but there you go. As you'll notice from listening to it now, and if you know Steve, we're both completely monotonal, so... excellent telephonists we did not make. Oh, it was awful, I tell you. Fortunately, we had a boss that kind of recognised that in a nice way, and we were given a new job which basically entailed us moaning at all the other staff all day, every day, about hurrying up on the telephone to get on to the next call. As Jan and my partner Julie will attest to, Steve and I are pretty good at moaning, so this was a role that we excelled in. Later on we joined a new team up in London, along with two other lads, similar ages to us, in our early 20s at the time. This unfortunately landed us with the nickname of Westlife, albeit there was not a handsome face or any singing talent amongst us. Whether the guys were wanting to speak to one of us or all of us, or Westlife, was pretty much all we ever answered to. I think it's fair to say that Steve was fairly besotted with me at that particular time of our lives. To the point where he actually moved into a house about 30 metres away from our own. Living so close together, and obviously being in the same team in London, it led to many boozy nights out in the city. Getting the Vomit Comet train back late at night. I won't go into that because it's frankly disgusting. Off the train, obviously, drunken walks back home from the station, followed by extremely hungover walks back to the station a few hours later in the morning. We'd always make a beeline for the toilet carriage of the train just in case one of us was feeling particularly sick. Fortunately, we never had to deal with that, but I have to say that in the whole time I've known Steve, I've only ever seen him be sick once, which over a kind of 15-year period, you could say was a fairly decent record, however. Unfortunately for Steve, that one occasion happened to be throwing up an entire bottle of red wine across the floor at the work Christmas do. Sorry Steve, I had to go there. So, as has already been mentioned, you may be aware, well you are aware now because, as I say, it's already been mentioned, Steve and Dave and his dad Pete are all Man United supporters. No one actually knows why, as I don't believe there's a Mancunian soul anywhere on their family tree. And actually, the Stag Do in Manchester, I think, was the first time Steve had ever been. true, but it's all banter, Steve, don't we? So, I myself am a Liverpool fan.
Hey, what's the score?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Appreciate it. I would go on to say something about the fact that Steve has made me miss the game today to be here. But actually, as it turns out, the score was dreadful, so thank God I wasn't at home to see it. But actually, while we're here, as fierce as the banter, footballing-wise, has been between us, I think he crossed the line when he brought the kids into it.
Nah.
He brought me this. My uncle says I should support Man U. Idiot. But at least we had something to wipe the baby's bottom with. We actually dug it out of the drawer a few days back in preparation, and it was still terribly stained, and it took Julie and I a number